And welcome to the High Stakes Fantasy Network. I'm your host, Greg Ambrosius, and I'm joined today by a special guest. He's none other than John Pausma, the newest member of the NFBC Hall of Fame. John, how are you doing today?
Great, Greg. Sounds weird for you to say that, but I'm doing great.
Sounds good. Hey, are we going to have any baseball this year?
I don't know. What's the word today? I heard they were locked in for 3 hours with no report, but I guess what have you heard since then?
Well, at least they met for 4 hours, and then I heard that the players stormed out. They were upset.
Oh,
So that's not the
man.
end of the world. At least they went through for a long time. I hope they meet again tomorrow. It seems like there's a little more direction towards getting this done. So I think by the end of the week, we're going to have
It's got
baseball.
to happen by the end of the week, right?
Got to happen by the end of the week. We want it to start on time, and baseball fans want a 162-game season. We don't want to start
Right.
May 1st, any of that crap. So
No.
get it done is what I say, right?
Right on. I
All
think
right,
they
so
should
I
send
wanna-
you down there.
Oh, absolutely, man. I crack the whip. All right, so I want to warn people, we've got two cheeseheads sitting here today on this show, all right? I mean, even though, John, you live in Tinley Park, Illinois, you're a Wisconsin native, you're from Waupun, where we have one of our state prisons, so we love that there. I've never asked you, how did you ever leave Wisconsin and go to Illinois, and when did that happen anyways?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yep, Waupun, first of all, that's where I grew up, and they have a special gated community that you just referenced in the middle of town, but
Yep.
depending if you count that community, it's maybe 10,000 people or so, but grew up and I think, is it buffering? All right, I got you now.
Yep.
Yeah, so dairy farm in Wisconsin, and then grew up there and went to school in Chicago area. When it came time to go to college, I went to Trinity Christian College in Palos Heights, Illinois, so just a small college outside of Chicago. And, I met a girl from Montana that went to the same school, and we both grew up from similar backgrounds, and we for sure were never going to stay in Chicago. We were either going to go back to Montana or go back to Wisconsin, and here we are. A long time later, we're still here.
So 30 plus years in Illinois then, huh?
Yeah, it is. Yep. Yeah, I think I came here in 1984, I think. Yeah. So, yeah. Man.
Well, at least you're still a Packer fan. You're still a Brewers fan, right? You didn't fall into the trap of being a Bears fan or a Cubbies fan, right?
No, Green Bay's my favorite team, and then whoever the Bears are playing is my second favorite team.
Well, good stuff. We definitely love your cheeseheads. You wear your Packer uniforms. I even got a Packer sweatshirt on. I got a Jones jersey on right now. So it's all for you right now. You're wearing the Brewers. I'm still in Packer mode right now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well, congrats on being named to the Hall of Fame, the NFBC Hall of Fame. I mean, it wasn't your goal when you started playing with us 16 years ago. It's really nobody's goal to make the Hall of Fame.
No, that's right.
After 16 years of competing, it's got to feel good to be honored like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's really cool. I don't even know what to say about that. It wasn't what I intended to do, or it's not the goal necessarily to do that. We found a sport that we love to do and a game we love to play, and you provided the conduit for that, and it's been so fun over the years to do that. And thankfully, I've had some success at it, and I'm very thankful for that.
Absolutely. Well, we've been pretty stingy on making the Hall of Fame, and I've done that on purpose. I mean, I really want this to be a special honor, and you really have achieved it. And it takes me to go into people's resume, actually, which is much easier now because we do have the historical data. But I mean, how does it feel when I tell you you're joining the likes of, there's only 8 of you in 18 years, there's only 8 of you: Sean Childs, Steve Japinka, Lindy Hinkleman, David DiDonato, Dave Potts, Mark Cerebro, and KC Chow. What does it mean when you hear that you're part of that group?
Feels like I shouldn't be with that group, really. But man, that's a great group right there, and I'm very appreciative of that. So amazing.
Yeah. It is an amazing group, no doubt about that. In fact, I was going through people's history today because I'm trying to update the Hall of Fame list for the website. I went through KC Chaw's. In 2021, he won 27 league titles.
That's unbelievable.
27. He won 14 DCs, 13 best ball 12. It's like he won almost every best ball 12.
Yeah, I was on the wrong end of a couple of those with him.
Yeah, but you did pretty well yourself this last year. We'll get into that a little bit later. But I mean, it's cool, no doubt about it. So
for sure.
Now, my goal is, and you've actually woken me up a little bit to this, I want to get at least one person in each year now. There are a lot of people who are qualified going forward. They're right on the cusp, and I think we can get at least one in every year. In football, I want to do the same thing. I mean, we've been pretty stingy on football.
Right.
You are the 5th leading money winner in football, so you're kind of on the cusp there as well. Thoughts on all that, and should we get somebody in every year, you think?
Yeah, I think it's there's enough people playing, and there's enough people that have done it over the years. I think there's plenty of worthy candidates, and I think that's a great idea. It gives a little spotlight to the game as well as your contest and the person nominated. So I think it's a good idea. You've run it long enough where you've got such a track history of some really high performers, I think.
Yeah, in football, I can tell you in the top 10 in career winnings who aren't in, Glenn Schroeder, Glenn Lowy, Jared Danielson, Larry Schechter. I mean, all of those guys should be considered this year, don't you think?
Yeah, it's funny. I think of some of those as already in. So, yeah, for sure.
That's what some people said about you. I was with Vlad the other day. He said, I thought he was in already. I guess he wasn't, but he's in now. He's in now. So, all right. So I'm going to read your resume to everyone so that they know who I'm talking with today. I got to hold this piece of paper here because it's a long one. But all right. So here, you started playing the NFBC in 2006. We'll talk about that. That's 16 years you've been playing with us. You've won a total of 64 league titles. You're 10th on the career money list. You've won 2 national titles. You won the 2018 main event, and you won the 2021 NFBC 50s Draft Championship. You also finished 2nd in 3 national championships: the 2014 Primetime, 2018 Online Championship, and the 2017 Draft Champions National Championship. And then you finished 3rd overall in last year's Auction Championship. So when I read your resume, I know you don't look back an awful lot, but did it surprise even you that you had 64 titles, huh?
Yeah, that's crazy. I guess I remember the losses and the near losses probably more than the wins, but I'll always remember the main event, 2018 team. That was, that's a special season and a win. But it's a great list there, and I appreciate that. Thanks.
Okay, so what do you think of 2018? You finished 1st in the main, 2nd in the overall or the online championship. Could have won $75,000 more if you had won that one. You still remember it as a good year, though, I hope.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was a Chicago draft, and it was a great year. I love that Chicago event that you do, and great group of contestants there. And I think the national championships come out of Chicago a couple of times, but it's a tough group. I mean, maybe some people think, should go to Chicago, but go ahead, come on over.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a tough one. Talk about Chicago, because we'll talk about how long you've been going there. But even though you come to Las Vegas, even though you went to St. Louis, even you continue to do Chicago, right? What is it about that Chicago? It's almost like a local league, isn't it?
It is. We used to have a couple. We used to have enough for 2 or 3 leagues, I think. So we've hosted it at various sites, or you have. I mean, I remember at the Rosemont. Probably was the first time I went there. I think I actually went there with Jack Hahn once for a football contest, and that kind of got me hooked into fantasy sports a little bit. And then you held it at the Rosemont, and I was just texting with a couple guys, and Cosley said that's the one where he drafted Trout, and the room applauded in the 20-something round. I don't know, but I don't quite remember that. But if he says it happened, it probably happened, I guess. Cubby Bear, we were at Wrigley Field, at the Cubby Bear. I don't think you were. You might have been in New York, maybe, but
I was. But I found that spot. I went there.
You
and
did
picked it out, actually. Yes.
Well, now we know who to blame, because we walked up this narrow stairway and there was music pounding below us, and we could hardly. I mean, but it was great. It was fun.
It was right across the street from Wrigley Field, and there was no band going on. Then I heard a call from someone. Man, they couldn't even hear the auctioneer. There was the band going on. They tried to.
About half of us had our car stolen, but other than that, it was a great event.
Stay away from Chicago. I told you that. All right, let's talk about how you got started in the NFBC, because, again, I don't even know this story. You first, from what I've got into the NFBC in 2006. You played a $1,000 satellite league, and then you played the main event in Chicago. So was that with Jack, or how did you first join?
So I partnered with Jack for 2 or 3 years, I think, in Chicago. And Jack was he was primarily a football player at the time, and then he and I did some baseball together. He remembers some of those years a little better than me. I know we did Chicago, and then we did St. Louis, like you mentioned. Maybe I don't know how many years did you have St. Louis? 1 or 2, but
2. You did both
2.
of them.
Okay, I did both St. Louis, and I remember one year we drove together. So Mike Diedrich, Jack Hahn, and we all drove from Chicago together. And
Nice.
I think Mike partnered with Gary Cutler at the time, I think. But
Nice.
yeah, we had it at the Pujols 5, which I think is called something different now, maybe when Pujols left. But it was,
yeah, they immediately called it something different when he left.
Right. That was a really nice venue. It was Kyle Effring and Kay Adams, I think, were there, right? They were the hosts. So that was back when you did stickers, I think, instead of the projection automated thing. But I finally remember that draft as well. And just the camaraderie with Mike and Jack driving up there. And then I met Dan Kenyon and his wife at that one, I believe. And then, I look back today at that team and that league. And I did win the main event one of those 2 years, but Derek was in there. I didn't realize.
Was he?
Yeah,
wow.
Back in the day. So he didn't win, but he was there. I don't remember him as a player at that one, but.
All right, so I've told this story before. So Derek was a player, and he was more in football, and he had a partner as well, and he was doing like 23 online championship teams in football.
Oh, wow.
And when we got bought in 2006, they brought us to Minneapolis to take us out to eat and to meet the staff. And we sit down, and Derek's sitting on the other side, and he said, "It's Derek Butcher." I always thought it was Boucher, the way it was spelled. I turned to Tom and I said, "He can't work with us. He's got 23 teams. How are we going to replace him?" Nice. And so he always says he wants to play. But yes, he played for many years, and he did the main event with a partner.
Oh, and it's great that you have somebody that played that many years, and brings a little player perspective. Maybe I think that's good. But back to Chicago,
we replaced his 23 teams, so it's all right.
Nice, yeah. But Chicago has it's pretty much the same group of guys that keep coming back over the years. A little bit, a few drop and a few add, and then sometimes you dial in some on the phone or whatever on the computer. But it's a great group. It's almost like a home league feel, like you said, and a couple legends like Jay Lyons and Russell, and it's a great group of people that
even Kaz. Come on, don't forget about Kaz.
Oh yeah, well, I mentioned Kaz once. That was my limit. All right, twice.
That's your limit. All right, so I'm looking up your history here. Yeah, Doug Gruber was there too.
Yeah.
Kyle Brinkman sometimes comes.
Oh yeah, Brinkman. Yeah, Brinkman and his big screen TV. Yeah, we got some. One year we I don't know. It was quite a cast of characters, and that was the first time I ever got outbid from somebody that was going. So Crazy Jay, right? You lose on your food and drink thing when Jay comes,
I know it.
But he somehow he had to leave, had to go to the bathroom. He was in the middle of bidding on a player, and I lost the guy because he was still bidding from the bathroom. I think I lost Simmons by $1 because he was bidding on him. I don't know, but yeah, crazy stuff happens. That was the auction.
Yeah. Well, I hope we can fill up Chicago once we get this lockout. People are waiting, I think, and hopefully COVID will be better and we can get a full group. We'd love to get the auction and the main event and honor you in Chicago. We're going to honor you in Las Vegas for sure. But anybody listening from Chicago, come on there. Let's honor John the right way. All right. Let me look at your history here. So you did the mixed auction league in Chicago in 2007. You finished second. I don't know if that was with Jack. You won your first NFBC league title in 2007. It was a $100 winner take all satellite league. I got you a main event entry there. So do you remember doing this? Let's see. What else did you do? Well, then you did the main event in Chicago 2008, 2009. And again, was that with Jack? Do you remember those?
Yeah, I think it was with Jack in the early years. Yep. Okay. And then we did the auction together as well. Those were fun times. The auction. And Jack was kind of he's a lawyer, so he's good at reading people, right? So he would stare down the room and he's gonna go again. Here's his tell. He's good at that kind of stuff.
Jack had probably been in WCOFF early on. Is that kind of teasing you or told you this is cool as high stakes and such like that?
Yeah, it was more. Yeah, I don't know if he played baseball anywhere else, but
no, I would think football.
Yeah, football. Yeah. Right. I think so. Yep.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think he got into football before we started doing football, and he
Yeah,
probably got the taste of high
maybe.
stakes, loved it, and talked you into it or whatever
Right.
there. Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, so like I was saying, you didn't win the main event 2008, 2009. You started to get successful after that. Did you get rid of Jack? Can we just throw him under the bus right now? Is he what held you back all those years?
Oh no, but he
Come
still
on.
remembers some of those teams we drafted. Like he just reminded me that we drafted Doug Jones and Bob Wickman, two guys that couldn't strike anybody out, but
Yeah.
they had a bunch of saves, so I guess it worked out all right.
Yeah.
The
So what's it
game has
like being
changed.
with a partner like Jack, though? I mean, you both
Yeah.
have strong opinions, obviously. Yes.
One's stronger than the other.
Yes.
No, it's good. No, it worked out great. Yep. I think he just focused more on football, and then baseball kind of became more my sport that I like to. But I like the puzzle of baseball a little bit better than football with the roto nature, the various categories, right? So football is points. It's its own strategy, its own type of game. It's still fun. It's very, it's a joy to watch football, but I like the contest part of the baseball better.
Yeah. And Jack was getting busy with his business and his family and such like that. I know that. Like you say, he's a lawyer. All right. So 2010, you're right, was the first year you went to St. Louis. You did the main event in St. Louis and Chicago. So you met a lot of new NFBC guys there in St. Louis. Just talk, like you said, you met Dan Canyon. We had 2 leagues that first year in 2010, I believe. And that was a smaller room. We had you packed in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was packed in there. I think Ando was there, Matt Anderson. Yeah, there's a lot of Phil McDonald was there, if I remember right.
Really?
Yeah, it was a bunch of, I don't remember them all, so I apologize if I'm missing some people. But that's the neat thing about your live events is just beyond the contest, and it's different drafting live for sure. There's a certain pressure when you're on the clock and you have to say the name and all that kind of stuff. But the good thing is you do get a break in between. That's kind of nice versus online. So there's pros and cons, but really the allure of the live event is just all the people that you get to meet, and those people you stay in contact with over the years, and you see them again the following year. And, there's a lot of friendships have been made from your events, I think. So that's great.
Absolutely. So 2010, you finished second in the main event and you won a double play league title. Then you went back to St. Louis in 2012. That's when you won your first main event league title. You've been knocking on the door for quite a while. Talk about how it felt to finally win that main event. I mean, really, 15 teams are not easy, and you finally break through to win one, right?
Yeah, that was a good. I don't remember exactly the team. I think it was Edwin and Cardinacion team, and I think I won going away. I had a pretty high score, placed in the overall as well. I think that year, top 5 or top 10 or something, but. That was a good team. I do remember that, and that for sure felt good. I haven't won all that many main event titles, so I mean the Chicago one in 18, and the ones that I have won, they've been placed pretty high in the overall, so that feels great. So
right. So Kay Adams was there in 2012. So we actually hired Kay in 2000 and let's see.
That seems like a good move.
Yeah, it was late 2010, and we hired Kay Adams, and trust me, she wasn't hired to, do television or anything like that. And she got on the radio on Sirius XM with Kyle and Ray. We left Liberty in 2011, and she started doing the radio there. So she was living in St. Louis, and we just asked if her and Kyle could do that, the boards for us. And they said, sure, we'd love to. And Kay was fantastic. You think about where she's gone in 10 years.
No kidding.
It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Huh? So, but it was pretty cool having her and Kyle there at that time. So,
it was.
Okay. Yeah. So you won a main event in 2013. You finished 8th overall. So you got back-to-back years you're winning main events. This is easy, right? You got her figured out.
No, not
right?
Easy.
What happened?
I don't know.
Well, you won 2 online championship league titles that year. You added 2 more OFC titles in 2014. You also won a primetime league title in 2013. So now you're winning 15 teams and 12 teams. Not everybody likes to do both. Well, you like that 12 team, but you love the 15 team, right?
I love the 15. The main event's always going to be the main event to me, right? That's the premier contest. I think. I don't think there's too much argument about that. But I do love the 12 teamers and the online and draft champions. I've done okay on those too, but that's good. I like that at the beginning of the year. I kind of go in phases a little bit. I start with the DCs and then move into some cut lines, and and then I do the OCs, and then the main events, of course, are the live events and the auctions. But I like them all, Greg. So I blame you for all this. So.
Well, that's good. And when you in that prime time when you won in 2014, you finished second overall as well. I mean, so again, you finished 8th overall in the 15-teamer, second overall. This is 2014. You started in 2006. I mean, again, I don't want to say you've figured it out, but I mean, it has been a gradual process. And that's what we're trying to tell new people is, listen, don't get discouraged when you don't win the first or second year. It does take time to learn fab, to learn the draft, to learn all of it, doesn't it?
It does, for sure. Yep, there's a learning curve, and I definitely struggled with many teams early on, and even now, there's some leagues that, man, I just whether it's injuries or whatever,
Right.
but everybody's got that. But it's not an easy process, but I think figuring it out versus the software, the fab. You guys have a great fab program for sure. It's I think it does take some time, but everybody, and look how many new people. It's not just people that have been around for 10 or 15 years and then figure it out. You've got all kinds of new people that walk right in. I mean, this is the greatest thing is all these new people winning. I think it's amazing. It just says that anybody can win. And I remember looking back at Lindy's teams, right? He was always winning. Every time he'd win, I go back and look at his draft. That doesn't look like a winning team, right? But man, it sometimes it's not all the young players, it's not all the rookies. It's solid veterans that often make the team work. And I've tried to model myself after his strategy a little bit, and but you get a little carried away trying to copy somebody too. It doesn't work, right? You kind of got to have your own path.
So there's been a discussion on what percentage is the draft, what percentage is the fab during the year, and even the set lineup, because that's tough as well. I mean, any idea what you think the draft is worth?
I think not more than 50. I don't think so. I mean, you got to have the good players, but the rest is really important as well. And I think the draft is what I need to get a little better at. I think the grinding through the year and the fab and the lineups, I probably work as hard as anybody on that. So, but hopefully pick some better players this year.
Well, I mean, and I've had that discussion. I think it's at least 60% because if you draft bad, it's very tough to make up for bad picks. But you've got to be a grinder. If I look at the Hall of Famers, Japinka's a grinder, Sean's a grinder, you're a grinder. I mean, KC's a great drafter. I know he's a grinder too, but that guy, he knows what he's going for. But it's a big part is the draft, no doubt. But the grinding is important as well. All right, I want to talk about 2015. That was the first year you went to Las Vegas. So it was also maybe the second year when we had the New York guys coming there. So all of a sudden we're getting this mix of East Coast and West Coast, and it's March Madness as well. Do you remember your first time out there? And I mean, at one time we had 11 leagues. I mean, 2015 we probably had 8 or 9 leagues at that time. But do you remember your first time in Vegas?
Greg, I was completely overwhelmed. Like, oh my goodness, never been, never seen anything like that. All this huge room, the main event you did on the Saturday, right? All these tables and everybody's making picks, and you could hear the other tables a little bit. You've got a guy in mind, but he just went. He announced, Brady's announcing him with his big voice, and it was like I was shell shocked. It was fun. It was.
But you were hooked, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. It was a little different than Chicago with just the 1 or 2 leagues, right? To see Vegas and this big, elaborate ballroom all decked out. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was great. It's fun. We're lucky to be at the Bellagio. March is really, really tough to get space at the Bellagio. There's huge conventions. There's a huge one this year. We do have the Da Vinci. We don't have the biggest ballrooms, but there's not only is there, they've got all the convention space, they've reserved all of the suites. I don't know what company this is. Yeah, so trying to get a suite is even very tough at the Bellagio. But
yikes.
So it should be a lot of fun. Okay, so 2016, you start turning the corner, really. I mean, you won 3 league titles there. You won a keeper league. You won Sean's contract league. Do you remember those leagues too?
Yeah, I do. Actually, it was KJ's contract league, I think.
Okay.
I don't remember. Sean, both of those guys have their own private leagues a little bit
Right.
going, and highly competitive and a different twist on things. The contract league was a league based on the salary of the player, so
Yeah.
it was a little bit distracting as you try to prep for regular leagues because it's just totally different. But it's so fun, and KJ does a great job at running the private leagues, and they're enjoyable. So, and now I think they run them on your site as well. I think so. That's great.
So 2017, you jumped into our 10-team cut line in a big way. You won 5 out of 13 league titles. You won 9 league titles that year, and you finished second overall in the draft champions. Okay, so now you're doing 10-team, 12-team, and 15-team. Not everybody's doing all three. What did you like about the 10-team or the cut line format, I should ask?
Well, when you do a 15 and you don't like what you get, then you go to a 12, and that looks better. And if you don't like that, wow, 10,
Boom.
That looks like fantastic.
Yeah.
Look at this team. But no, it's a different 10-team was a points contest, obviously the cut line. So I think you appeal to a wider, a part of the audience that's used to points maybe. And 10 teams, it's quick drafts. You have a couple fab periods. I think you've had different iterations of that through the year, but I enjoy the 10. It's just a different strategy. It's points. You plug into a formula. You don't have to worry about saves, which is great. You can just draft starting pitchers. Who cares about saves? I like it. It was a new challenge for me. I feel like roster construction wise, I could gain a little edge just on how I think about the roster should look like on those. And but there's a couple cut line guys. There's 2 or 3 owners that are just so good at the cut line. Stat Mueller. For one, the 2 Joneses, man, they're both great at it. So, it's a fun contest. I enjoy it.
So I'm going to just jump to 2019. You won 4 out of 10 league titles in the cut line. All 10 teams qualified for the playoff. I'll talk about last year. You had a great run as well. When the hell are you going to win the overall in this format? Come on, it's a survivor format. You should be able to survive.
Yeah, I guess I'm not. I'm not building my team to peak during those 3-week playoff periods, I guess. I don't know.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. I can only, you build it to win the league, and hopefully you can hit it. I just haven't hit that for the playoff part. So.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's talk about 2018 a little bit. That was that magical year you talked about. Won the overall in the main, second in the online championship. That was the year in the NFBC. Until Phil came along. Then Phil just smashed it all. What do you think about Phil? Let's just talk a little bit about him. Has he figured it out? Has he cracked the code, or was that just one of those years?
Oh, I think we'll find out, right? It was definitely one of those years, but let's see. Great player, right? Huge success, great accomplishment, as well as a lot of other, newer players have had big success. So, I think it's a new analytical type of mind that's going after some of this. Maybe some of it's from the DFS daily world, or it seems like there's a lot of poker players playing. I don't know what edge that gives anybody, but KC, right, was one of those, and there's been others. But Phil, great year. Now we're all even again, so let's see what happens this year. But in terms of the code, he's highly analytical, and it's got the regression formulas that he back tests or whatever, and he's pretty open, right? You can listen to him on almost every podcast and get some idea what he's talking about. But I think it was more roster construction than necessarily some of the other stuff. But in terms of roster construction, boy, the NFBC's always been known for pushing pitching up, but he took it to a different level there and had success. So.
Yeah, this pitcher stayed healthy as well, so we'll see.
Yeah.
He had a lot of different players on different championship teams, which people were talking about. It wasn't the same formula. In 2018, what did your rosters look like? Did you have a lot of similar players or not on those 2 teams?
Yeah, I often have a bunch of different players. Yeah. So, a core group that you hit on later that I think on 18, Fultonavich was one of my guys. I had him quite a bit, and a few others, Yelich. I think there's just so many different ways to win, right? So you don't need necessarily the same players on them all. But the round 15 plus guys. A lot.
Oh, I think we lost you, John. Oh, I think we lost you for a second there.
Okay. I got you back. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you were talking about round 15 guys.
Yeah, so round 15 guys, I think post 15, that's when you probably have a bunch of them that are common throughout your league. So
yeah, he had Robbie Ray on a lot, and obviously that hit and such like that.
Oh yeah.
So where do you think is the difference maker in our 30-round drafts? A lot of people, when I look at championship rosters, rounds 11 through 20 play a big part. I look sometimes like 25 down, and none of those guys even stayed on a championship team. But that 11 through 20 seems like a difference maker. Am I right or wrong there?
Yeah, I think you want safety up top, right? And now this year, it's really the stolen bases are such a thing, and it seems to be the most of the stolen bases are contained in that top three rounds. So that's a new challenge this year, and it's making people back off some of the best hitters in the league because of the stolen bases. But there's all kinds of ways to win it, right? Phil won it his way. I think there's a whole bunch of ways to win it, and I try to think about it in safety up top. I want a safe pick, and then 11 through 20. That's when you really build it. And I think at the end, 20 through 30, there's definitely some. A lot of the times, maybe you're speculating on closer jobs and things, and that's why there's such a turnover on those picks.
Right. No, I'm just saying, I think sometimes people think, he hit him in round 30. That was the one that did it and stuff. But I agree with you. I think people are looking for a potential closer. When he's not, they roll it over and bring in new guys. I mean, one of the things I would think, you're not afraid to turn over your roster in Fab, are you? I mean, if I would talk about myself, I'm too conservative. I'm hanging on to this guy way too long, saying, I drafted him. I think he's going to break out.
Yeah.
Are you that way or not?
Oh, I'm usually guilty of too much. So especially 12s, it's a little different animal in itself. But I've been probably guilty of dropping a guy too quick versus too slow. But it's I think you just got to forget once you're done with the draft, you forget about where you drafted him. That's your team, right? Forget about what round you invested in that player. It doesn't matter, right? It's what you expect going forward, and don't be attached to somebody that just because you drafted him in the 5th round. Well, I can't drop him week 12. Well, yeah, you can if there's something better out there, and if it fits what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I'm afraid of doing that. I don't want somebody else to pick him up and then get all the value that I thought I was getting, but he does me no good right now, right?
Right.
He's hurting my team. So, all right, I'm just going to go through your last resume here. You won 9 more league titles in 2020. You won 19 in 2021. Again, KC won 27, so take that. But
I guess so.
No, you won 3 out of 12 online championships. You won 11 out of 14 $50 DC league titles, and you won the overall title. You won 3 out of 14 cut line titles, and 11 out of 14 teams qualified for the playoffs again. So again, you found that $50 12-team DC. Just was another format for you to what, dabble in or what?
No, so you introduced that I think
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Okay, so really I did it for prep for a 12-team league. I felt like because your 12 teams are all live. There's no slow drafts on your 12. So for me, it was a way of getting more familiar with the 12-team league. And I did some 15-team DCs. And, of course, that goes to 750 players deep. And that's probably a little bit outside of my comfort zone. So the 12-team, you've got 600 players instead, 50 rounds. So that felt a little bit better. And I was able to finagle my way around that I guess. And it's a fun contest. I enjoy that. And it seems like the engagement was pretty good by everybody that participated in that. And you ended up with a huge amount of 3,000 teams or something like that.
3,
you had a great turnout on that. Yeah. So nice. And that's where somebody can just start as well. I mean, there's people that just start out there, but there's also a lot of regular veteran players that play that as well. And those people that like the 12-team the format versus the 15, and it gives them a way to play that in the beginning of the year. So
I mean, it was presented as an introductory. We thought we'd get new people to get in there. That's why when you were leading it last year, I said, you got to win this too. You couldn't let some new guy win this. Come on. But no, I was happy for you.
Actually, the guy
okay,
that beat out at the end was Mark Winokur, and he's
was
not a new guy either. So there was a lot of regulars in that contest for sure.
Well, I can tell you for a fact we're going to have over 3,000 teams for that $50. That thing is just smoking right now. I can't believe how many people are playing. I think people are dabbling, just waiting to see if we're going to have a season or not now. So the DCs are as well. I would be surprised if we're not at 5,000 DCs.
Amazing.
I know, it's crazy. So it's been great. I mean, that's a contest that KJ and I were talking about. KJ actually came to me. There was a site called Ant Sports that was doing draft and holds, and he asked if I would do it. I said, hell yeah, if people want to play, it'd be great. It was just Mock Draft Central back in 2009. People were doing that. They do a couple rounds and then get done, and it would be all auto pack. So we tried it, and I cannot believe to this day how successful those draft champions are in both sports.
Right. Yeah. No, that's such a cool thing. And thanks to you. And I think Dan Kenyon was one of the guys that pushed that so hard to have the different time frames and that kind of thing. So it seems weird to think about an 8-hour slow draft now, right? Like, oh my goodness.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I can't handle the 4, so.
First of all, it's not Dan Kenyon. It was MTM who pushed me, So, no,
and I told those guys, it
was everybody, and it was me too. But Stats would not update the software. They would not change even from 8 to 4.
Stats, great.
No, I can tell you it was. Look at like I really wanted 8-hour drafts. So I could come in the morning and have people bitching and telling me which players I should call up and tell them to pick.
No, I think you got I think the 2-hour for me is a sweet spot, and then it goes down to 1 hour after 30 rounds. You got something for everybody. There could be a little argument about when the dead zone is, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to please everybody in terms of. I think you got a 2 to 8 a.m. Eastern time is. And what some people don't know is you can still make picks during that time. We got to get that word out a little bit more, maybe. But it's great. It's a good way for accommodate, and then you could pick which style you want instead of just being lumped into the one contest. So that's really nice.
No, I think
great job.
Cutting the time by half when we got to round 31 helped too, because come on, they can drag on forever and it just gets done a little bit quicker here. All right. So I got to ask you, what do you like better, the competition or the camaraderie?
Oh, I like them both equally.
You can't answer that. It's like on Wednesday night when we asked you about the lockout.
Competition. I mean, I love the camaraderie, but I love the competition. So I don't know, just a competitive guy, I guess. And I just any contest I'm in, I want to win, and I'll try my hardest to win. So
absolutely. Now the camaraderie is great. I mean, when we get out to the live events, it's almost like a family reunion. We haven't seen each other, since March. Not everyone comes to both football and baseball, and it's fantastic to see people. I mean, it was great when my son was doing well in football. Jack would show me pictures of his son who were a couple of years behind. Now his son's playing college football. It was
Yeah,
it was
he's
great.
Going to Grand Valley.
The first year that I did, absolutely fantastic. The first year that we did the live events, Kenny Mogner brought Chip, who was 9 years old. My daughter was 9 years old. His son's getting married now. My daughter's 27. It's just it's unbelievable how.
I think my son Jacob has gone with me on a couple of the football contests, and then in Chicago, my daughter Annika also came with for a couple of those Chicago drafts.
Oh, great.
Maybe I think she came for the auctions, but it was fun. So
it's great. All right. Couple more things. So tech improvements. We have made good tech improvements, and the fab is much better. I think you'd have to agree with that. And we did have a nice meeting today. We always meet every Monday with the tech group, and Derek's been pushing a little bit to try and copy your fab bids and to be able to do that on multiple teams. And so
I've been thinking about that. Yeah.
The IT group said they think they can figure it out. We don't want to mess with the current fab software, and they think that there is a way that they can put that in a separate place to be able to copy, which will allow you to copy
I'm curious
bids.
to see how that would work, but just in general, your tech team has done a great job in terms of some of the improvements. I remember, we used to.
Oh, well, we lost it. We lost John here. Let me see if I can end this and get him back somehow. But I think we just lost him. Hang on. We'll just hang on here. So I just will tell you, there he is. Hey. Are you back? We're doing this live. Hey, are you there? We're losing him. He's having tech problems. We'll wait for him to come on. No, we're going to try to improve Fab if we can. Let me see if I can get it back on here. All right, we'll move you over this side here. Are you there? Try your volume. I don't hear you. This is live. This is how we do it live. All right, turn your volume on, your mic on. Nope, I don't hear you. Nope. See, just when he was starting to compliment our IT team, then he went out. Try one more time. All right, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You got me?
So you were just complimenting the IT team, and then boom!
And then I had an IT problem.
I got to stop myself. I can't compliment the IT team.
No, so many improvements, Greg, on IT, right? I remember we used to not be able to move a guy after he started, like to move it from like second base to middle infield, that kind of thing. That was a huge improvement. The Fab, I played a couple other Fab leagues, one other contest just 1 year, and I couldn't handle it, to be honest with you. And your Fab is by far the best. Where you can highlight a guy, put him on your watch list. That was a huge improvement. And I still run across quite a few people that don't know all the features. So I think somehow we got to get the word out a little bit more about all the features of the current system. And it's really a powerful Fab system. The copy, you can slide guys up and down. I don't do too much on mobile, so I can't really comment on the mobile piece of it. I'm usually on iPad or a laptop, but yeah, it's a fantastic job on that part.
Yeah, things like the waterfall, with this channel here, we actually could put the board up right here and we could walk through people on how to use the Fab. So that's a good point. And we'll see if Derek can do it. Derek did a video, but the ratings were terrible on that video. So now I think we could do it on here. So that's a good point.
I think that would be great is to explain all the different features. How to move a team from the lobby, from your list to, changing a time slot, right? So many people don't.
The gear icon,
And your lobby has been a nice addition too, in terms of your contest signups. And it seems like that's generating as much or more traffic than the message boards, maybe.
Definitely.
It's great to have that there. Nice job on that.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, we're going to try to improve Fab. I mean, we can improve Fab. And one of the things we know is if Fab is easier, people will play more leagues. Fab takes all day Sunday for people, and we know that. And I've ruined some marriages, I'm sure, because of it. So we're trying to make it better. And I will say one of the best things we did was the St. Louis tech team flew out to Vegas for the first NFFC one in 2016, and they saw the auction. They knew how the software could be improved. They talked to people up in our suite, and they left and they went back to work. And 2017 was kind of a tough start with our software, no doubt about it. But that happens with software, and they stuck with it, and we're in pretty good shape. Let me ask you real quick: do you use the ADPs? Because a lot of people like the ADPs. Do you use them?
Oh yeah, I like the ADPs. Yeah, for sure. I like the ADPs. I think it gives you a pretty, you can run some percentages, and if you like a guy, well, if you can pretty much predict within a certain percentage of that guy making it to the next round or to your pick, and it's valuable information. Obviously, I've been doing this long enough to know that stuff changes, and when the main events come, sometimes like they say, ADP gets thrown out the door, but it's valuable. I think it's one of the tools, right? So
yeah, definitely. It's a roadmap. Doesn't mean you have to travel that way, but you know what the road looks like at least. So
no, and whenever you decided to make that public, like it used to be mock draft, and mock draft central was the only data you could get unless you were in a league. Then you could get ADP, but that seemed to, I don't know what year that happened, but that was
2018.
Really good move on both on the baseball and the football side, I think, because now it's like the industry standard everybody talks about.
Yeah. So I was I would only give it to people who had signed up for a league already because they
Right.
were generating
Right.
the ADPs. I felt like, okay, they're generating the ADPs. Why should I give that valuable information out? So sign up for a league if you want one of that. That was kind of the thing. And I was at the Arizona Fall League Symposium. I don't know if you were there that year or not, but I was on a panel and Ron Chandler was asking me about the ADPs and I said, you know what? I think this year we're going to make them free for everybody right off the bat. Everybody should follow what the ADPs are. And I kind of knew that they could be the gold standard and we'd use them on the radio and such like that. But I never had an idea on how everybody would use them, on the radio and in their preparation for drafts and all that kind of stuff. So I think it has been really good for us. That was 2018 we started doing that. All right, what's the one category you got to nail in fantasy this year? Saves, stolen base. I mean, people are chasing saves this year.
Yeah, even the auctions, closers are going for 30 plus. Used to be Hader or the top guy would be 18 or 19 in Chicago,
20,
and maybe 21 or 22 in New York, because those guys were a little crazier in New York and they they did things up. But now you see it in the auctions and the drafts, and it's not unusual at the 1-2 turn for these guys to go. And now the next tier is going by the end of 2. And I don't, so there's less available, right? There's less saves there. The way the managers are using it, it makes sense that they're more valuable. I'm just struggling with if it's gone too far or not. I have a hard time taking them too early. I'm probably in the middle a little bit on that, but I'll have some where I grab it. But I've done some drafts already where I've gotten my share of closers, and other times I just can't do it. I can't pass up these good players to take a closer but there's only so many saves, right? So it's hard. And it's
what about stolen base?
It's a spot that there's so many turnovers.
I know,
so much turnover too, right?
Right.
So it doesn't seem, when you think about percentages and risks and such, it seems like a risky proposition to take them too early. But
how are you handling stolen bases this year then too? Because they're going fast and early.
Yeah, they are, right? There's some guys later, but it's more top heavy this year, it seems like, in terms of the stolen bases as well. So it gives you the people that start out with starting pitcher, Cole or Burns or what have you. It presents a challenge. It limits. It's hard to go Cole Freeman, for example, and then you're behind on stolen bases, right? Or I think Vlad's getting pushed down a little bit too much, probably just because people are afraid how to pair him with a stolen base guy, right? And then some of those stolen base guys maybe were going too high, right? Like I've seen some Witt and Anderson going middle 2, early 2. I mean, some unique builds happening for sure. No,
it's gonna be a lot of fun. All right, last one for you. You got any advice for people who are thinking of getting in the NFBC?
Oh, it's a great. I never. I don't even know how I started thinking about playing NFBC. I think I played early on. It was a company called Sandbox, I think, or Sand something.
Sandbox,
it was a points league way back in the day.
They're out of New York.
When I grew up, I didn't play any baseball. We lived on a farm, right? So I had to do the chores and that kind of stuff. We lived too far from town to play any baseball. We played on the farm, but fantasy baseball, I really didn't start thinking about it till I was in college, and played some friends from church and such. But I think. I guess when I look back and think about the background of how I grew up and where did I start thinking about, it started when I was a kid on the farm, and we lived on a dairy farm, and obviously the cows had to get bred. We didn't have a bull in our farm, so we artificial insemination, right? So my dad at a young age gave my brother and I the book. So you got a book of these bulls that have to, so you had to pick the characteristics of the bull to match the cow. So it's just like fantasy baseball, right? You got to pick the characteristics. So I know it's not quite like Lindy's pigs, but so back then we would like, okay, this cow needs to be paired with a bull that has stature or breeds this or breeds that, and then the next generation looked better. So it was, back then it was matching characteristics, and that's kind of what baseball is today. We're matching players and characteristics, and it's a great game, and I encourage anybody to try it. And there's so many different contests that you can start out very small. Um, I'm a firm believer that it's not the guys and the gals that are playing the real super high stakes that are necessarily the best, just because they can play the high stakes, right? So I think some of the best players are the one. We shouldn't diminish any player just because of the size of the entry, right? So that's why I love that you have some of these smaller entries that people can play, and I think it's great. And you could win a qualifier, and you could turn that qualifier into a shot at something bigger. I think you should maybe even do more of those qualifier type of things. Those are great. And, yeah, you got almost everything anybody could look for at your site. So I recommend jumping in and trying it. And most people, they're not afraid to give anybody advice on it, right? So it's not most of us, nearly the whole community, and it's a great community, and they're all willing to share the tricks and tips, or not. There's not really any tricks, but tips and how you go about preparing and that kind of thing. And the podcast world, oh my goodness, that's a new thing, right? Like,
it is.
You got experts everywhere. So yeah, you can get up to speed pretty quick, as evidenced by the relative success of some of the new guys and gals. So it's great. Yeah,
the podcasts are like viral PR for us. It's just unreal. And I know you're doing a couple of podcasts as well.
I think I'm going to go on with I'll be on with Vlad next week. I think
that's good.
And I did one last year, one or two. I think with Rob I was on with, and one other guy, I think. But I can't keep track of them all, to be honest with you. But, I got my favorites, which ones I listen to, and depending on the guests and such, right? But yeah, no, it's there's a wealth of information out there that wasn't there just a few years ago, and the trick is trying to figure out what to listen to, and what's important, what's not, and that kind of thing.
Well, your bull analogy, you could have been a matchmaker instead of playing fantasy baseball. You could have developed Match.com and got people married together, but no, you went and played fantasy baseball instead.
I mean, there's different. It was 10 categories. They were just different categories.
Well, John, I thank you for taking the time tonight. It was great talking with you. My brother Mike says hi as well. He was at the Packer game with me, and I told him I was talking to you tonight, so he's going to watch this. So
I was hoping you didn't leave him at Lambeau after that loss.
We were both so mad, but we've been through that before. And when you lose and you just walk down Lambeau Field, you're just as disheartened as can be. It's just a procession to
San Fran. I knew it was going to be trouble. I remember, years ago when they lost in San Fran.
But their defense played so well. We should have won. I mean, we were just flying to the ball. We were. And our offense was just terrible, and our quarterback was just terrible.
All right, is he staying or what?
He's staying. They're going all in. They're going to mortgage the future, I think, for him.
You don't sound too excited.
Well, I mean, you're mortgaging the future. If you're going to do Adams and him, you're going to be pushing out $50 million for many years, not just 1 year. So I want to win a title. I want one more. So I'm not against it.
No, I think they got a good enough team that they should keep him, right? So maybe we'd feel better if Love was a little better, but I don't know.
Well,
I think it's the right move.
I think so. Yeah,
they got a great defense, bunch of young players, good coaching staff. I think they got a shot at it.
I'm fine with it as well. I just know that it's pushing out the money several years. It'll make it tougher later on, but. What the hell? Let's win one more while he's
here. They can issue more stock, Greg, right? More owners.
Raise my ticket prices probably as well, but it's okay. Well, John, thank you very much, and I wish you best of luck this year.
All right, thank you, Greg.
I'll see you in Las Vegas.
All right, sounds great.
All right, thanks, everyone. I don't know who our next guest is going to be, but it's going to be a good one, too. So
all right.
listen next week. Thanks, everyone. See you later. Okay, bye.